Yes, guys, it's another episode of Beyond the Posing with my co-host. She is the posing pro, Emma Hyman. Emma, you're good?
I am very well, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, look, all great, especially after another busy weekend. It was the first pro qualifying in the UK, which means you guys probably know where we're going to start. Because for us in the UK, the fifth IFBB Pro card for Fit Model competitor was awarded, and it was UK competitor at the Benweda UK. And Emma, it's going to be the first place we're going to start. We're going to look at Victoria's posing. She's kind of to send me the her pose routine. So it's a great place to kick it off. So
Amazing.
let me grab Victoria's Victoria's page and we're gonna get started on Victoria's eye walk. So
Amazing.
what I'm gonna do, let me talk through it, guys. So this is Victoria. Now this is her third Fit Model show. She did the regional in the UK a couple of weeks back. I think she may have got second or third on that day. She went to do the pro qualifier over in FIBO, where I think once again she came second or third. Didn't make the overalls, but this time she got the class win. And also she did beat the regional overall winner, which was Dion from a couple of weeks ago. So Victoria is the UK's first ever Fit Model IFBB Pro to join competitors from we got a pro from Brazil, America, and Thailand and Germany. So now we got one for UK. Emma,
Amazing. So,
I'm really keen to hear your thoughts as
yeah.
we're now looking at the UK's first Fit Model IFBB Pro.
Yeah, amazing. Firstly, she has got really lovely stage presence. I feel like she definitely has some stage experience. You know, she's
Yes, she has.
constantly switched on. Yeah, from the moment she steps on stage, the transitions are really, really natural. So I am hazarding a guess. I actually haven't looked at Victoria's page, but I'm guessing she may have competed in bikini division previously.
Yeah, she's done multiple federations, including
Okay.
MPC as a bikini competitor.
Okay, yeah. Her transitions are really fluid. She knows what works for her, and she's showcasing them really nicely. And she's moving very quickly through them as well. And notice how she's lingering a little, but not too much. It's the posing is definitely moving super fluidly, and she's executing really nicely here. This transition from front to back looks really good. Now, the main thing I would actually just play around with would be the front post. Okay,
I'll go back
she
to the moment.
is doing the variation where we haven't seen a lot of the girls executing it this way, where she's twisting her front glute forwards towards the judges. It's not a variation that I personally prefer because what I think it does is I think it makes the waist look thicker than it is. Because if you look at the foot position, the right foot is really quite close to the left in regards to the
Yeah, it
width.
looks narrow.
So there's not a lot of width between the feet. Now, when you do this, you have no choice but to twist your hips even more to the side. Now, a lot of us would think, okay, if I'm twisting my hips to the side, I'm going to show the glutes more, which is obviously what we want to see in this division. But when you do that, you sacrifice the taper of the waist because we see the waist from a side on angle, we can actually risk making the waist look a little bit thicker rather than showcasing the rear side of the body. So for Victoria, the left side, rather than showcasing that right, the left side of the hip, a little bit more of the left leg, we then kind of lose that hourglass shape. Now, obviously, it worked well enough to give her that pro card. So the judges must have liked it to some degree. But I would, as a posing coach, I would personally have, and you can see she's really pushing that right hip forwards as well. I would play around with this foot positioning, the body weight being more onto the left hip, and then just taking the foot position a touch wider. So we actually got to see more profile of the glute and more of the waist in turn, giving us more of an hourglass shape.
Yeah, no, that's fair point, and that's something I didn't notice straight away. As that from the other competitors we've seen, her feet are very narrow in
Yes.
placement, which of course, as you say, you then need to accentuate twisting your waist to actually
Yeah.
look front on.
Yeah, she's not sat backwards into her left hip at all in that front pose, which really drives the front glute forwards. And it's more of a contortion with the waist and the hips. So I would be really interested to see this variation in a pro lineup and seeing how that fares amongst the girls. Because if we think about one of our winners from FIBO, which was Kath,
Yep.
she had a totally different foot stance. It makes the frame look totally different. You see the taper through the waist. You see the hourglass frame because you can see both hips and you get a fullness and roundness through the glutes. So I would definitely encourage Victoria to play about with that front pose just to see if she can create more of a fuller, rounder glute as well.
Well, we will definitely see that in the pro show in
Yeah.
2026. So what rating does Victoria get from the Posing Pro?
I am actually going to give her I'm going to give her an A minus just because I think the rest of
Right.
it is just so good and so fluid. It suits her frame. Although, I personally have a slightly different preference on that front pose. It still works to some degree, but the back pose looks nice. The like she's confident, she's smiling. As soon as she comes back around to the front, she's connecting with the judges. Sign off looks really good. She brings a level of experience to the stage, which is fantastic.
So she's only very, very young. I think she's only something like 20 or 21. So
Wow.
well done, Victoria. Probably makes you the youngest Fit Model IFBB Pro, even
Yeah.
though there's only five currently. We're going to move on to one person you reviewed before
Yes.
because she did come back on stage this weekend, and this
Mm-hmm.
is Shayla. So let me just give a little background on Shayla. So on the weekend, she is one of three American NPC Fit Model athletes who are now a two-time overall champion, which means
Amazing.
regionals are over, it's pro qualified time. And I think her next one is the Junior NPC Nationals. We've got a couple of the girls in Gabrielle and Emily who are targeting Pittsburgh. But yeah, pro qualifiers are next. You've reviewed Shayla in the
Yes.
past. You
Yeah.
gave a fantastic review, which I know she was very appreciative of.
Yeah.
Can you hear about your thoughts of her second show?
Yeah, so Shayla actually dropped me a little message and she said, I implemented the corrections that you gave me and I got, what did you say? Was it three overall? She
There's,
won.
yeah, so this is her second overall win now.
Okay, yeah. So I think she might have won three divisions over the weekend, I think. So anyway, but yeah, so I can definitely see some clear corrections through the front post here. We can see that she's changed the foot position slightly just to give a little bit more length through the front quad. I would like to make that waist look a little bit smaller. So what I would maybe just do is play around with the hip position a little bit more, and just being mindful as well of the traps in that front pose, making sure the traps don't become over dominant. It's definitely not something we want to see in this front pose. So just what I typically do with athletes when they're a little bit tight through the traps or they're just engaging them without thinking, I encourage them to do a lot of lat activation work. Now, obviously, typically in this category, we're not looking for massive aggressive lat activation, but it's still super important to know how to execute so we can make a nice top line through the shoulder to shoulder line. So we then can create that upside down triangle shape. So we are bringing the nice V taper, which is going to make that waist look a little bit smaller as well. With Shayla, what I would actually try with her is she's got her front heel lifted off in that front pose. What I would actually try with her, because for me, it looks better, but I feel like you can still be refined a little bit more just to take it to that next level, especially if we're going in for a pro card. So what I would do is I would maybe just try dropping the right heel inwards so the right toe is turned out a little bit more, just so the line of the leg continues. Now, obviously for me, I'm looking at lines, angles, continuity through the lines of the legs and the arms. So at the moment, because she's pushing outwards through the right ankle, it kind of breaks the line of the leg. So I would just like to see her drop that right heel down, rotate the right toe out, and see how that looks. But she may have lifted that heel in the way that she has to give a longer line through the right quad. So I actually am going to do a comparison on this video compared to the one that we did the last time and just see what she's corrected. Now, the transitions look a lot cleaner for me. The only thing I would then also just correct is when she goes around to the rear, just making sure the glutes stay lifted here. So as she steps to the back, this looks nice, but here, just lift the glutes here, lift, 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 lift. So we've got that push back through the hamstrings just a little bit more, just so we maintain that fullness and the roundness through the glutes because it's so super important in this division.
And yeah, so You know how I like my little subtle movements, especially trying to make themselves
Yes,
different. We see again, just with our left arm before she
yes,
leaves, we saw something different with Victoria. So we all
yeah.
know when it comes to female posing, you are restricted to what you can do. It's all about adding a little touch to your of showcasing your personality,
Yeah,
which I really saw with
absolutely.
Shayla.
And I really love that what she does. Like the arms are quite fluid. This looks really natural.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I do like the fluidity of the arms and the presentation. It looks really nice. One thing I would also do just to help to when Shayla gets into that rear position, she's in a glute shot and her back heel isn't spiked off the floor. Now, if the heel is spiked, it's just going to pop the rear glute a little bit more in the glute shot. And then when Shayla steps to the rear, she's already got the left heel off the floor, so she can step left foot, right foot to the back, which might just make that a little bit more fluid. And then also the final thing, which I would correct, is just bringing the elbows in a little bit tighter, so there isn't so the elbows are pointing outwards. So those little windows are just a little bit smaller around the waist, and that will again will make the taper a little bit more impressive.
I was just about to ask that. But now I'm going to ask my next question, and that's the posing pros rating.
Yes. So I am going to go here with a B plus.
Excellent. Shayla, well done. I'm looking forward to see how you do now onto your pro qualifiers. Next one. I don't know. Hopefully you can see this one. So this is Gabrielle. Can you see it just fine?
Yes.
Okay, now let me add some context to Gabrielle. This is her second Fit Model show. It's also a second overall win. Like I said, three girls in the US won a second Fit Model overall title. And this is another one where I did a post on Gabrielle for the first overall win, and the post went ballistic. People were saying this is the Fit Model look that they really, really like. Now, we don't have anything like the Gilco's video, which is from seen from Shayla. But we do have this, and I'm really keen to hear your thoughts on Gabrielle's posing.
Yeah. Did we review Gabrielle before?
I'm
Have we done?
sure we
I
have.
think we did because she looks very familiar to me. And I will absolutely agree. She brings that whole essence of the fit model feel. She suits the division so well. She's got a really nice natural hourglass shape. The shoulder cap is nice and full. The posing looks effortless. It's like she doesn't have to work too hard in the posing. And I think this is what's really going to be emulated through that pro division when we eventually see a good pro lineup on stage. So the posing is nice, it's quite relaxed. But maybe this is the direction that we might see the division going in, right? If the judges really like it. Um,
I
Posing
wanted to
wise,
I wanted to include this one because the other ones videos we looked at, we didn't see the competitor walking on, and
mm,
we know obviously with the fifth model posing, there is a bit of a walk to the center before you
yeah,
execute it. So I'm really keen to hear your thoughts about her walk on, where we've seen other people eyes to the ground,
yeah,
eyes focus for judges. There's been
yeah.
the variations. Can you hear your thoughts?
She looks like this is her domain, doesn't she? She steps on stage, she looks supernatural. She's really given me that model energy where she's just taken it in her stride. She's walking on the stage. She probably walks down the street like that as well. She's given perfection as a model. So she's not overarching through the lower back. It's given a different energy to what you would see maybe in the bikini division where it is a lot more over accentuated, but she has got a really lovely physique. And sometimes when the body talks for itself, you don't have to do all of these crazy pose and adjustments because you don't need to. So she kind of feels like that for me. Now, what I will say is obviously the video is pulled out a touch, so I can't see really close into the details. The main thing I would probably really do in the front pose is just maybe to create a little bit more of an impressive top line. I think the shoulders are a little bit too relaxed. Let's just have a look here. Yeah, she from here, Gabriella looks like she is just dropping the shoulders down a touch. So maybe if she just, but when you look at her, she's still got a really tapered waist, and this is where I say like the body talks. So by herself she looks amazing, but then it would be interesting to see what she did look like in a pro lineup. But I would just create a little bit of a stronger top line, thinking about the shoulder cap, just so we can again just accentuate that V taper, and maybe just a slight engagement through the glute as well. I'm definitely going to try and find some footage of her a little bit close up.
What's the posing pro rating we want to give to Gabrielle?
She looks so effortless, and from here the body looks super impressive. I'm going to give her. Let me just. I'm going to give a B plus because the body is really good, but I feel like there could just be some a little bit more, maybe a little bit more conviction to the half turns, just to make especially that front pose a little bit more switched on.
Perfect. Well, Gabrielle, best of luck for your pro qualifieds. The next people we're going to look at aren't overall winners, so I think we might be able to pick more out. Hopefully, give you guys a bit
Yeah.
more education in regards to the fit model posing. Now, for some reason, I think this one's a bit slow down, so
Okay.
I'm going to show this one, and let me just add some context. So we have Jennifer. So the reason why Jennifer's come up is because she's just won sponsorship with Angel Competition Bikinis. She's done the I can't remember specifically what the show was, but I know it was with the fitness productions over in the US. This is a bit in slow motion, so I'm obviously just trying to do something a little bit different. Keen to hear your thoughts because we are seeing some differences in the posing.
Yeah. The front on pose is very front facing. And she's dipping into the hip rather than giving us that like roundness through the glute. So
So I'm going to pause it here in
let's
one
just see if we
moment.
can pause here.
There.
Yeah. So what I would do here is, I mean, it still looks nice for maybe like like a WBFF kind of style, more for the actual fitness model posing. But obviously, to be in line with the NPC, we just want to make sure that we are given that hourglass shape. So what I would maybe just trial with Jennifer is just maybe just bringing that left foot forwards and presenting that left leg to the judges a touch more, and with the right leg being a little bit further back, so we're staggering the foot position, twisting the hips a little bit more to the right, so we actually see more of the roundness through the left glute, which would then hopefully just give us more taper as well. Through the top line, if you were to draw a line from one shoulder to the other, the shoulders would be sloping down.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to give a little bit more shoulder cap, so we can then just create a little bit more taper as well. So I think just a little bit more structure to the posing rather than it feeling a little bit too relaxed.
Let's see her face the rear because I know a lot of times we're seeing some common mistakes. When I say mistakes, I mean some little subtle changes people can make. So
Yeah.
let me just pause it here.
Yeah, so this is like a really good example for anyone that has hyperextended knees, which I can tell that Jennifer does. So basically, that means when you straighten your legs go beyond straight. So they kind of lock out here instead of locking out completely straight. Now, when this happens, and this can be in any division, you always want to make sure you've got a very small flexion in the knees, just so the line of the leg is straight rather than it being hyperextended. So that's the first thing I will just explore. I Obviously we want to make the taper just a little bit more impressive, so small flexion through the knees, pushing back through the hamstrings just a touch, and then we would just want to pull those shoulders behind the body just a little, because the back for me, there's almost like, and this is a physique thing, there's a little bit too much development for me through the upper body muscle wise. So we would just want to, that taper is quite wide. So we just want to, I'd bring that taper in just a touch by pulling the elbows backwards and behind the body, pulling them together and pulling the shoulders behind the body as well. So we could see a little bit more of the side delt.
And we're just gonna let her come back to
Transitions are quite nice. She's
yep.
moving, obviously, she's moving pretty slowly, but she's maneuvering around the stage quite nicely. It's just a case of really executing the basics and fundamentals on the poses. And in that front pose, she's kind of leaning forwards a little bit too much as well. So you can see she's got presentation, energy, she's confident on stage. But I think it's just really, yeah, understanding what we want to see in this division through the front and the rear pose. And you can tell, she's well developed through the tracks here. It's not what we want to see in a fit model division. So if your physique doesn't totally tick the boxes for this division, then just making sure that you're adapting your posing so that you do adhere to the criteria with your physique as much as possible. And we know with posing, you can pose up, make yourself look bigger, and you can pose down and make yourself look a little bit smaller. And sometimes that's what you've got to do to fit the criteria.
Definitely. What's your rating for her?
I'm going to go with a solid C.
Well done, Jennifer. Okay, we're going to finish our last person and we go all the way over to Argentina, and that
Yeah,
is Ana Morez. So
yeah.
Ana Morez, fit model debut from Argentina. I believe this is probably the second Argentinian NPC Fit Model show they've had so far this season. Not sure when the pro qualifiers are coming up, so if you are in that neck of the woods, please do let me know. But really keen now to hear your thoughts on Ana Moraes. Now, she's not one of the overall winners, so I'm kind of interested to see maybe what takeaways she could take from herself to
Yeah.
implement into her next show.
Yeah. Um, so I believe that Anna came second in the overall, maybe, or just narrowly missed out from what I know. So let's just try and look at the front pose. So as we walk, well, first of all, with the transition, we want to make sure that when we hit that transition, that we are not bending through the back knee. So let's start. So as we transition here, it's still very front facing. So the frame, there is no hourglass happening. When you hit your transitional pose, you want to create as much hourglass as possible. If your hips are facing forward and your toes are facing forward and your shoulders are facing forward, you're straight up and down. This isn't creating any shape or framework that we want to see for this division. Okay, so again, we see it there. Through the glute shot, the glutes are soft as we step to the rib. We pause it there. You can see that when Anna steps to the rear, there's almost like a softness underneath the glutes. It's so super important that whenever you are maneuvering around the back, when you're at the back, when you're coming back around to the front, there should be no softness underneath the glutes. Even in the fit model division, we still want high round glutes. This is what you're being judged on. Hourglass shape, full high round glutes, teeny tiny waist, and that is how you need to execute your posing. There's also a lot going on with the presentation, maybe a little bit too much, because I feel like in a pro lineup, obviously this would maybe be a little bit too long. So I really encourage as well athletes to emulate what we would see from the pro lineup, and the pro lineup is really going to stick to the rules. I know we've not seen one yet, but we know what the criteria is. You've got 10 seconds to get on and off that stage. So I think just bearing that in mind as well. The front pose here, Suki, we can see that the standing leg, the left leg, is a little bit bent.
Yeah.
And again, we can see it interrupts the line and the flow of the figure. So we want to keep that left leg nice and tall and straight. We should be sitting into the side of the left hip. And then obviously we should be having a nice long lean line through the right leg, which is the presented leg, which then makes the right glute nice and full, which then creates more taper. And then we've got the shoulder cap at the top just to add to the top of that V taper as well. So a couple of corrections there. With the posing.
Do you
Here
feel
we
that
see that,
she didn't really hold onto that front pose long enough? It was very quick, and she
yeah,
spent more time with a transition going into rear pose.
yeah, yeah. So we maybe she felt like her transitions were stronger, so she wanted to get out of that front pose and get into the transitions. But I think it's really important again, just to really try and nail exactly what the judges want. They want to see you in that front pose. Your transition should be a lot quicker in this division. We're getting to front and back nice and quickly. They've stipulated that a lot. Tyler Mannion's put videos out on it. So just make sure before you step on stage for this division that you do your homework and you know what the judges want to see.
I want to touch this one because you've touched quite a lot about the elbows being wide or being in. What's your thoughts here?
Yeah, I actually don't mind them. A lot of the times it stands from the proportion from upper to lower. We can see she's got a nice shoulder cap, which adds to the taper of the waist. The only thing I would maybe do here is take the feet a little bit wider. I think the
Okay,
feet are too narrow. So the if the feet were a little bit wider, it would just offset the balance from upper to lower in a good way.
let's go back to play.
Yeah. See here, we just want to keep those glutes lifted. We get softness here on the glutes. This hair flick we've not seen a lot of in the fit model division
Yeah.
either. As we walk, the glutes are a little bit soft. Great stage presence though. She is smiling from beginning to end. She's looking down, she's looking up. I think there's just too much, a little bit too much fluff, the hair flicking and the whipping of the hair. We just want to, again, we like it. We all love the sass, but we've just got to make sure we are in line with what the judges want to see for this division.
Okay. Let's visit the last one. So Emma, can you hear your rating? We're giving
I am going to give I'm going to give a D plus.
D plus. So biggest takeaway for her?
Yeah, and you know what? I think with the correct posing, with the right posing corrections, it's one of those ones where it's going to transform the physique if you get the posing right. But with bad posing, it's always going to make the physique not look as great as it is. So the biggest takeaway, I would just maybe say that front pose and also the T pose as well, just making sure you execute that hourglass shape.
Awesome. Well, look, that's it for another week. So, Emma, thank you again for your time here. We looked at five fit model competitors. One of them turned an IFBB Pro with our five in the division. And we roll on next weekend. And we're going to try and do next weekend is look at a few different categories. But this week was very much fit model heavy. So hopefully you guys took plenty away from it. And as always, please, guys, look, we're giving some great advice here from Emma, the posing pro. Drop a message. Click on the link in the bio. There's plenty of ways to communicate with her. Also, don't forget about the membership site she has for all the information you need on all the posing on your fingertips. You don't need to go anywhere else. It's there in your hand, in your pocket, wherever you go. So yeah, do check it out. I'm going to include the link in the bio.
Suki, we have also, sorry, just interject there. We've also filmed our fit model tutorials, which are going to be available on the site to download from the weekend as well.
Perfect. We're gonna get some detail. We're gonna get that. We'll probably jump on that next week, but also pop some stuff on the BTS page for you guys to check out as well. Awesome. Emma, thank you again, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Suki.